these slopes, the air circulates much faster and better.
So it compresses the air.
Compresses the air and directs to all around the underground city. The second purpose is for the enemy.
Yeah.
You cannot go all together. You and I cannot walk in there together.
So this is
we need to go one by one, and we need to bend down. And if we have weapons, we need to put them down, and like walking like this.
Okay.
So this is the reason.
The enemy.
Yes, this arms the enemy. That's why.
Oh, that's cool.
The narrow tunnel would slow the enemy assault to a crawl. And for those determined enough to go through, there were more surprises ahead.
What are these?
Those are for the spears.
The spears?
Yeah, just in case the enemy gets all the way here.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So they're I can see all the way up here.
Yes.
So
they kill the enemy by the head.
So if you've gotten this far in your attack, you're not going to go any farther.
No, you're dead.
Wow. Oof, and that's not going to be pretty.
But the defensive traps didn't end there.
All right.
Even if you were saved from the spears, you can't go any further because of this. The door will be closed in front of you.
This door comes into play.
It was a millstone used to trap an enemy, just like the ones I had seen at Göta Toprak. And while the Christians have the Hittites to thank for first carving out these fortresses centuries before, they deserve the credit for taking the idea of a subterranean booby-trapped battlefield to a whole new level. One of the new tactics they came up with was to let the invading armies enter a main room, roll the millstones to cover the only two entrances, and essentially trap the army inside until they died. As if that wasn't enough, just beyond the door was yet another deadly obstacle.
In this room, up here, this is a very famous Byzantine system. Pour hot oil over the enemy.
So you've managed to get inside this room.
Inside, now you're killed by the oil.
Oh my God.
Yes.
If the Christian villagers had retreated this far into their underground, it meant they were desperate. And we were standing in the last room carved out in this complex. It was the war room for the defending army. The room from where the battle between 3,000 villagers and their heavily armed enemies was run. But how?
What are these holes up here?
Well, these echo my voice. This is the only underground city where you see telecommunication systems. The echo in this room is much better than the other rooms. And it's gathered and through this hole up here, carried to the other floors.
Like an acoustic theater, this room was built to reverberate sound waves and channel them into a single area. A person in the room above could hear instructions given below, even when spoken at a whisper. Orders and enemy positions and movements could be communicated throughout the complex. A last line of defense against a determined enemy. But even after the threat of an attack passed, locals would wait down here until they were absolutely sure the coast was clear. That meant living underground for months at a time, so preparation was key.
This is the most important thing in an underground city.
Right.
They need to store food, even if they're not using it. Even if they're up there in their houses, they store the food.
Okay.
And because they need it when they stay here.
And it's a very good cold cellar, essentially.
Yes, the temperature is perfect in these underground cities.
The temperature down here was always the same, 15 to 16 degrees Celsius. It was the perfect temperature to keep food fresh, centuries before the advent of refrigeration. But the Christians went one step further than just storing their food. They knew any kind of contamination could quickly turn a subterranean city into a mass grave for 3,000 people.
This is chalk. Most of the underground cities had used this system to paint the walls with chalk paint. Most of the places like storages, kitchens, and places where they need hygiene, they had chalk paints on the walls. And this is an underground city where you can see the chalk.
The volcanic tufa rock that created the landscape of Cappadocia flakes off easily. Its particles fill the air and cover everything in a layer of thick tufa dust. So coating the walls of their subterranean food storage areas, wineries, kitchens, even hospitals with